Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Vehicroid Yugioh deck profile for April 2020. With the release of the Dual Overload booster set, we actually got a reprint of Super Vehicroid Stealth Union, one of the boss monsters for the Vehicroid deck. It was actually a very difficult boss monster to come across because it was only ever released as a Gladiator's Assault Secret Rare or a Hobby League version of the card, so no way was it, like I said, easy for players who wanted to play the Vehicroid deck, to get access to the card. But still, very, very cool that they gave us the reprint. Now we can play Vehicroids with all the different fusions that we have for the deck, and that's what I decided to focus on for this deck profile, using the different fusions we have for as pure of a Vehicroid deck as we could do with the support we have. Hopefully we get some more support later down the road. I think it'd be crazy if we got Kiteroid in actual TCG. It would be a very good addition for the deck for sure. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the 3 ofs in the deck, I'm running 3 Mixeroid. You contribute 1 machine monster to special summon 1 non-Windroid monster from your deck. You can pay half of your life points to banish any number of machine monsters from your graveyard, including this card, to special summon from your extra deck 1 Roid fusion monster with the same level as the number of those banished monsters, ignoring the summoning conditions, but destroy it during the end phase. You can only use each effect of Mixeroid once per turn. So along with the banish effect, the fact that you can just tribute a machine monster to special summon a different Roid monster, because we do run a good amount of different ones in the deck, just helps for the overall consistency to get out a specific Roid monster you may need for your plays. And then relying on Mixeroid in the graveyard as well, you can even use it for the tribute to summon out your other monster, and then have Mixeroid in the graveyard for the banish of your different Roid monsters, which we have plenty of different ones in the extra deck with different levels, so depending on which one you want to go for, can definitely be a big help for all your plays also in the deck. So you definitely need the 3 Mixeroid. It's probably one of your best setups in the deck for sure, especially with the field spell search also. I'm also running 3 Expressroid, one of the older ones, but still a very good effect. When this card is summoned, you can target 2 Roid monsters in your graveyard, except for Expressroid. Add those targets to your hand. So even if you have your graveyard set up, if you tribute your Mixeroid and then special summon out Expressroid, all it has to do is be a summon, and doesn't have to be normal or special summon. You're no way limited to that with your Expressroid, but giving you 2 cards back into your hand means that you have more resources to use with your Vehicroid Connection Zone, which is your main go-to fusion spell in the deck. And the fact also that Expressroid is one of the 4 cards needed for your Super Vehicroid Stealth Union monster in the deck also. So 3 of this card definitely helps also at that as a plus, but more used for the fact that it is a great recycler from your graveyard of different cards for you to use. And for the last of the 3 ofs, I'm also running 3 Ambulance Roid. With this one, when a Roid monster is added to your graveyard from your hand, you can special summon that monster. So it gives you resources basically with this card. So if you have Ambulance Roid on the field and you use Expressroid to add your Roid monsters from your graveyard back to your hand, you can just then special summon them back out onto the field, which is just an added plus for more and more cards to use on your field, including Ambulance Roid for that plus. And what's great also with all Expressroid, Mixeroid, and Ambulance Roid, they all have very low attack, so they're all able to be special summoned off of your machine duplication, which we also run in the deck for all the different 3 ofs. But Ambulance Roid with that special summon definitely helps for some of your other plays. I know with Master Rule 5, our main go-to play in the deck is Fusion, but still relying on Link Summons for a lot of our different plays is an added plus also. And then for the next lineup of the Roid monsters, lower numbers for these ones, but they're still needed for a good amount of the plays we do in the deck, but they're just not as big of numbers that we need them at 3 to rely on for any of our plays. But those numbers being, I'm running 2 Truck Roid. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, equip the destroyed monster to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to it. So if you get a good number of cards equipped to Truck Roid, it can be a true powerhouse for sure, but our go-to reason reason for this card is it's once again another needed card for the fusion play for your Super Vehicroid Stealth Union. So I like running it at 2 just for the fact that you could also play a little defensively with Truckroid, setting it up for that defense, but also being able to special summon it off Mixeroid as an added plus. And with these different Roid monsters, I decided to run them at 2 for the fact of one of our easier go-to fusions is pair Psychroid, just needing 2 machine type monsters with the same name. So having multiples of the cards just helps for that consistency for that fusion play, also being able to have 2 of the same name, depending on what I have also with Mixeroid and depending on what's in my hand. Like let's say Mixeroid's on the field and I have a Truckroid in my hand, I can tribute the Mixeroid to special summon out the other Truckroid from the deck and then have the 2 cards there for that fusion play. Using the same logic for the next lineup also, which is Drillroid, which is also needed for Super Vehicroid Stealth Union, and the last card being Stealthroid, but also needed for our Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill, being what we need for those are Steamroid, Drillroid, and Submarine Roid. So Drillroid being another card for that fusion also is very, very helpful. And also the 2 Steamroid, it's more of a powerhouse card, being 1800 attack, and when it attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 500 attack. The only bad thing is when it is attacked, it loses 500, but just make sure you obviously use it for, let's say, your fusion plays at the end of the turn before you have to have your opponent attack into this card also. It's probably one of my favorite looking Roid monsters also. They all look incredibly goofy, but, you know, that's the what people love about the Roid monsters, just their cartoonishness, but I just really do like the aesthetics of Steamroid, but still just 2 of this card. It's really all you need. Steamroid is just used for the Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill play for that, but we also do run the Steam Gyroid because, like I said, I wanted to run all the different fusions in this deck, so having Steamroid for those 2 fusions is why I also like to run 2 of it in the deck. And now for the 1-ofs. I'm only running the 1 Stealthroid. I only have 1 Stealth Union in the deck, but with this card, if this card attacks, destroy 1 spell or trap at the end of the battle, it doesn't happen as often, and still, you know, we can search this card out with cards like Mixeroid, so we don't really need it as often. Same with Rescue Roid. You can use Ambulance Roid and Rescue Roid to make the best fusion name possible, Ambulance Rescue Roid, but once again, it's just a 1-of, being searchable for the deck, and needed for some specific fusions, it comes up for those situations. The same being Submarine Roid and also Gyroid. If you wanted to bump up Submarine Roid, I know the direct attack play and defense mode play can definitely come in handy. So if you wanted to, you know, move around any of the numbers, you can drop the Truckroid number down to 1 to put in a second Submarine Roid, since you do need that as well for the Jumbo Drill play, being the 3rd of the monsters, Steamroid, Drillroid, and Submarine Roid to make that card. And that's it for the monsters. I wanted to run a pure Roid lineup, so focusing on that for all the different fusion plays we can do. As for the spells, I am running 3 of the field spell Megaroid City. You can target 1 other card you control, destroy it, and if you do, add 1 Roid card from your deck to your hand. During damage calculation, if your Roid monster battles, you can send 1 Roid monster from your deck to the graveyard to switch the original attack and defense of your battling monster. During damage calculation only, you can only use each effect of Megaroid City once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters of the turn you activate this effect, or if this card's effect, even if this card leaves the field. So this is your setup for a lot of your plays, including our other boss monster, which is Super Vehicroid Mobile Base, having the 0 attack and 5,000 defense. Being able to swap the attacks makes this a true powerhouse when you attack into your opponent, and also being able to switch some of the other cards, including our Express Roid, Mixer Roid, all with higher defense, is another big plus of this. And Megaroid City also sets up cards in the graveyard for Mixeroid's Banish fusion play to go off of, and we do have a specific trap which I like to destroy with this card, because then it just gives us the extra plus for the special summon. And the 1 terraforming, just for the fact that we're running the 3 field spells, and it's a field spell you definitely do want to see often in the deck, so that search definitely does come in handy also. For our main fusion spell, which I spoke of before, I'm running the 3 Vehicroid Connection Zone. You fusion summon 1 Vehicroid fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. And if you do, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and its effects cannot be negated. So the Vehicroid fusions are your main boss monster ones, so remember that also, with your Stealth Union, your Mobile Base, and also your go-to jumbo drill. We have a couple other fusions we run, but we have other ways to fuse those cards out for the setup, including Mixeroid, getting away from the actual plays to do. But the fact that your boss monsters can then be, they cannot be destroyed by card effects, and their effects can also not be negated with this card is a huge plus as well to rely on. And for more of the graveyard setup, and also just relying on this to sometimes come in handy for the fusion plays, I'm running the 3 future fusions during your first standby phase after this card's activated. You show 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and send the fusion materials list on that command card from the main deck to the graveyard. So with it, if you reveal Ambulance Rescue Roid the next turn over, you'll send Ambulance Roid and your Rescue Roid to the graveyard. Same with Jumbo Drill, you name it. With this, it's just more setup, but then also the possible guarantee if your opponent doesn't destroy this card to get that fusion later on down the duel. And for more special summoning, I run the 3 machine duplication for the first 3 of the playsets, the Ambulance Roid, Express Roid, and Mixer Roid. They all have less than 500 attacks, so this is just an easy way to special summon more of them out onto the field to use for your plays, whether it be fusion or just their own effects together. Machine duplication definitely does help there. And then for some of the one-ofs, I run the 1 instant fusion. You can make Parapsychroid with this card, and then when you summon out your Parapsychroid, being the needed card for mobile base, because you need a Roid fusion, and 1 Roid monster. Excuse me, when you talk too much, I know I've said Roid, I think at least 40 times this video. Also the 1 Power Bond, excuse me once again. About that. And then the 1 Monster Reborn. Like I said, you just say the card so much that you get tired of saying it first off also, and that happens. But with the 1 instant fusion, it goes for the Parapsychroid play, the 1 Power Bond, and the 1 Monster Reborn for special summoning back resources, and just being a powerhouse card with Power Bond to summon out cards onto the field also. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. I run 3 Wonder Garage. Now this is your go-to card for your plays with your field spell, being able to destroy your card on the field. You target one other card, destroy it. If you do, add 1 Roid card from your deck to your hand. So you can set the Wonder Garage, which specifies when this face-down card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon 1 level 4 or lower machine-type monster from your hand. That's the setup to go for with your Megaroid City. Destroying Wonder Garage, getting the special summon, and the search off of the Megaroid City. It all works very, very well together. So 3 of this card definitely does come in handy for sure. Relying on the field spell, obviously, for the search, or even if your opponent just happens to destroy this card, it's an added plus there, because then you'll get your Roid monster out on the field also. And I also run 2 Emerger Roid Call to finish off the main deck. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a Roid fusion monster, negate the activation, then send all cards with the same name of the card activated from the player's deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Roid monster in your graveyard, add to your hand. You can only use this effect of Emerger Roid Call once per turn. You might want to even run 3 of this card. If that were the case, you could try dropping the Wonder Garage down to 2, but I do like this play a lot in the deck, and if you test it out, you'll like it as well with the field spell. That's why I'm only running 2 of this. It's still situational because you have to have the fusion monster out on the field to use, but still it can come in handy because then you can get rid of all the other multiple copies of cards your opponent may run in their deck also. But that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I only have the 1 Super Vehicroid Stealth Unit. I really feel it's all you need. It's a true boss monster, but 3,600 attack, and the fact that, once per turn you can target 1 face-up non-machine monster on the field, equip that target to this card. While equipped with a monster by this effect, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and if this card attacks, its original attack is halved if this card attacks a defense monster and inflicts piercing. But the fact that its attack is half is the true underwhelming part of it, but still very, very fun when you can get this effect off. Just taking your opponent's big monsters and equipping it onto this card is the true troll aspect of it. For some of the other fusion monsters, I'm running the 1 Super Vehicroid Mobile Base, just being another true powerhouse in the deck, being able to swap the attack as well. I like to go for the Parapsychroid and then, into this fusion when I can, but you can also get around the fusion summon plays with your Mixeroid in the deck also. And I also run the 1 Barbaroid, the Ultimate Battle Machine, and the 1 Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill. You only really need the one-ofs, because once you make them, they're, like I said, a pretty big boss monster on the field, including with the connection zone. For some of the other ones, the 1 Ambulance Rescue Roid and the 1 Steam Gyroid, especially with Future Fusion, these specific name ones come in handy as a lot. and also the 2 Parapsychroids with Power Bond. This card can attack your opponent directly, so being able to rely on that and then just have the bigger attack with this card can really, put a lot of damage against my opponent also. So I like the 2 of them in the deck also. And then for the Link monsters, when you can go into it, just remember with your Megaroid City and your Mixeroid, you can be limited to what plays you can do, but still good to have them as options. So the 1 Underclock Taker, the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Borreload Dragon, and then for the Exceed plays, when you can make them with the level 4 monsters, the 1 Abyss Dweller, and the 1 Gear Gigan X for the search where you can do in the deck also. But remember, once again, with your main go-to play being the Megaroid City and then relying on your Wonder Garage. So if you set the Wonder Garage, it doesn't even matter if you set it that turn. You activate your Megaroid City, targeting one other card you control, destroying it, which will then send the Wonder Garage to the graveyard. And if you do add 1 Roid card from your deck to your hand, whatever it is, regardless, it can be the Mixeroid. If you do that, it'll set up your Tribute play, because then you'll be able to use Wonder Garage to special summon the Mixeroid out onto the field, being able to tribute it for another card, which, like I said, if your graveyard is set up with a bunch of different monsters, you can then go for your Expressroid on the field to add back cards to your hand, and then adding those cards back to your hand just goes very well for the Vehicroid Connection Zone fusion play you can do, or even just being able to go for the Power Bond play, depending on what fusion you have, or even relying on just keeping Mixeroid in the graveyard, and depending on how many you send to the graveyard with your Megaroid City, banish them for another fusion play also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. It's definitely a fun deck, so I definitely do recommend looking into it if you're a big fan of GX as well, if you, like Cyrus's deck. Also, I think we did get a lot of cool support for it, but hopefully we can get some more later down the road to definitely power up this deck even more than what it is now. But until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.